Hello! Hello! Ah, ちょっと待ってなね. Wrong chat. 大丈夫. I'll fix. Just a smidge. But yes, hello. You're not Pampu. But yes, we in Pump? No. Briefly, you're in Pump. No, that's not what I want. Mate. I got it. I got it, chat. I just gotta remember where I put that thing. But either way, hi, I guess. I bet chat? No, that's not what I want. Don't worry, it's slight scuff, but yes, I am here. Oh, here it is. There we go. Hello, Adonis. Hello, Wizard. Pay no mind to that scuff, but hello. Well, how is your Friday? How is your spoopy Friday doing? Are you having a good fanboy Friday today? Just normal stream day, yeah. Play more Umineko. Just so I remind myself to not neglect this game like I do every time. It's going good, that's good. It's a little bit of you here, but that's okay. Can talk a bit before more people roll in. Hopefully the volume is okay. I think I have a stream tomorrow with Tooncat. It'll be on his pump channel. We'll be gonna be watching Long Legs, cause even though I've seen that movie I think like twice, 3 times now? Twice? I think it's twice. Tooncat has not seen it, so it'll be nice to see his reaction. Can't believe there's a Friday just for Adonis. Yeah. Yeah. But also, I've just made a catalog for my convention that's gonna be in Anime Pasadena November. I will share it in the chat. You can always spread this around to any of your friends who may be in the area. But yeah, it's November the 2nd through the 3rd, so I'm gonna be selling more stuff. Surprisingly, even with the amount of money I made from my last convention, I still got quite a bit of merchandise left over, so it'll be good to not have to restock as much. Only very few things were sold out, but not that many. Are you guys like also decorating your houses? Got anything else planned? What about you, Wizard? Got any spoopy Halloween stuff planned? Do you got your what's it called? You bought candy yet? Ministry's forced me to decorate my house. You damn well I am. No one else is gonna do it, so I have to. I'm the only one here in the Halloween spirit, as you can see. Wait. Also, for you guys who are subbed, I've added a little bit more emotes. There's a bit more added. I'll gradually be adding more, but I am also running out of slots because I have to get rid of a lot of old ones just to make room. Now, I'm going to wait for Halloween to pass over and get half-price candy. That is a good way to do it. Since, you know, a lot of us are too old to trick-or-treat, you could just get half-off candy that way. For whatever is left over. So, hello, Neo. Hello. Also, in a few weeks, I'm going to be streaming Splatoon again with Nim. It'll be, like, on the 26th, I believe. So, it'll be a while. But yeah. Gonna be representing Team Wizard. Since Wizard can't play Splatoon, I will fight in his honor. Because surprisingly, even though it's a rerun, they remixed the matches. So it'll be really cool to see who is going to be the new winner this year. Very pog indeed. See, the new emotes, they look really good actually. Even though they're small, they're still a lot nicer looking. Oh, I got a stream idea for you this Halloween. Oh, I also have a stream idea for my anniversary, even though it's not going to be very big because I am very bad at planning these things out. So if I end up getting a new idea, maybe I'll try something out. But well, you'll see when the time starts. Play Night for Christmas, Oogie's Revenge. Oh yeah, that is a game. How long even is that game? I heard that game is pretty bad actually. And I'm planning to play Epic Mickey at least. Have it on the PS4 and I can stream it pretty soon. But I just wanna, you know, play a little bit more of Umineko first. Maybe I'll also play some of the other games I had in mind for Steam. Epic Mickey. Well, of course, I still have to finish this guy, which I've also been neglecting. Nah, it's Devil May Cry, basically. Oh, yeah. I mostly just been celebrating the Jack Skellington Twink and Twisted Wonderland. That's a good time. About 5 hours. That's not too bad, actually. I don't know, maybe. Maybe if I could find like a ROM hack for it, I can probably play like 1 or 2 times. I don't know if it's something I'll finish, but we can try. Thank you for the suggestion, though. Happy 11th day of Halloween. Happy Friday to you too, Fungasm. Thank you. It may not be Friday the 13th on Halloween, but at least it's something. Welcome. So now we got enough people rolled out here. We should get started with the game. Oh, I forgot to take out the movie stuff. Womp womp. Womp womp. Oh yeah, and the Twitch alerts too. So many things I have to hide just because I streamed on another website entirely. But yes, thank you, Donis, for gifting Fungasm a sub again. Thank you. Hope you enjoy your subbies. Thank you also gifting Neo a sub as well. Let me just get rid of the scuff. So I kinda rushed into streaming without realizing like, oh wait, I have to change some stuff around. Lol. Such is life. Okay. Let's make this a little smaller. Just want to adjust this a little bit. That should be okay, right? Well, I say it's hard, like really tough. Oh no. Meanwhile, everyone else I'm watching now is busy playing Silent Hill. Silent Hill 2, Electric Boogaloo. Okay, thankfully my save did not fuck up. So, we're left where we last left off. So once again, if you missed out, want to catch up, you can watch my VOD on YouTube. Turns out the remake Silent Hill is good. That is what I heard, and I'm actually pretty glad because I've always been saying Silent Hill deserves a remake. It deserves, like, you know, something good to come out of it. And thankfully, Konami did not fuck it up. For once. Or else it would have been like 100 more years trapped in like pachinko hell for the foreseeable future, you know? It's like, we don't want that. Hold on. Border. Chotto matte na. Oh yeah, I still gotta put up the other thing if I can find it. My stuff is messy, so bear with me. There we go, that's what I needed. Just gotta move this higher. And just enjoy the ambience for now while I pull things over and blah blah blah. That's what I want to move lower. Okay, yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Okay, now we're ready. I finally noticed that the inside the parlor has gone quiet. Hey, I like doing stuff in hard mode. It's fine. I'm used to it. It's okay if everything isn't one thing, all in one OBS. Let me lower myself a bit. It's fine. Everyone had sunk into their favorite sofas, some deep in thought, some irritated, some depressed. Maria was once again enjoying the television as if she had never left it. It looked like she found commercials more fun than the boring program, and she happily yelled, "Ooh woo!" and giggled. I stared at each person's appearance in turn. If there isn't a 19th person, the culprit must be in this room. Who could it be? Yes, Maria is back to being a bimbo. She's just a brainless lolly with just one brain cell. Right now, Aunt Natsuhi was searching the mansion with the servants, though, wasn't she? Then it shouldn't be in this room. In this mansion, is what we should say. After all, there was also the possibility that Aunt Natsuhi was behind this, and we still couldn't deny that one of the servants could be the killer. Anyone could be the bad guy. Still, Aunt Natsuhi and the rest sure are slow. Of course, it's not a small mansion, but isn't this talking a little too long just to walk around checking the windows and doors? Just as I thought that Aunt Natsuhi and the rest returned, not one of them was missing, but our relief was short-lived. Everyone looked at Aunt Natsuhi shocked. Are? Nani? The look I had with Aunt Ava started to creep back into my mind. The possibility that the culprit had enough in numbers or weapons to kill all 6 at once. Wow. Violence is the answer. If her first name is Patience, then her last name is Little. She has little patience. Actually, it should be the other way around, but whatever. Sorry if I startled you. I brought this to be prepared for the worst. Because that thing in Aunt Natsuhi's hand was a rifle. At a glance, its silhouette looked a lot like a hunting gun. But it was unusually short and kinda looked like a kid-sized gun. She brought out a Nerf gun. However, it had a thickness to it which revealed that this was definitely not some kid's toy. Is that Kinzo's gun? Did you know about it? That's right. I remembered that it was in Father's old collection. I managed to find it. Whoa! Suge! Kakoi na ne. Awesome. Why does he have a gun? She has a gun. For protection. Against the bimbo witches. Natsui, is that thing real? Yeah, it's real. It can fire live ammunition. Long ago, father used it to scare off wild birds. Ah, I remember. Where could that have come from? No matter how much I asked him to let me touch it, he never let me lay even a finger on it. Huh? Grandfather had one of these? I didn't know. Long ago, grandfather was really addicted to westerns.
あの世代はこういうライフル銃が大好きなのよ。
That generation really liked this kind of rifle.
結構年季の入った銃のようですね。
It looks like it has some considerable history to it.
でもこんな短い仕様のは初めて見ました。
But I've never seen this one in short before.
ああ、思い出したわその銃。
I remember that gun.
懐かしいな。昔好きやった映画のガンマンが派手にぶっ放しとったやつだわ。
That's the one gunman goes firing off with in that old movie I used to
お
love.
父さんも渋いな。
Father sure has good taste.
親方様がだいぶ昔にア
Long
メリ
ago,
カより
oh.
特別にお取り寄せになられたものです。
Long ago, the master had brought over especially from America. Of course it'd be fucking America.
ご覧の通り実銃ですので、どうかこの件はご内密にお願いいたします。
As you can see, it's a real gun, so I'd ask that you keep this a secret.
手に入れられたばかりの頃は大層気に入られておりまして。
He was quite tickled by it when he first got his hands on it.
撃つより薬莢を出す動作が面白いらしくて、裏の森でいろいろとカッコつけて遊んでおられたもんですよ。
He was quite tickled by it when he first got his hands on it. It seems the workings that ejected the cartridge were more interesting to him than shooting it, and he played around with it back in the forest all the time.
しかし物騒ね。
Still, what a dangerous thing.
そんなものまで持ち出しちゃうのかしら。
Are you sure you should be dragging this out?
万が一に備えてです。
This is preparing for the worst.
族はおそらく一人ではないでしょう。
There's probably more than one of them.
しかも主人たちを6人も殺した恐ろしい相手です。
Furthermore, there are terrifying people who killed 6 of us, including my husband.
私には主人に代わって皆さんを明日まで守る義務がありますので。
I have the responsibility to protect everyone until tomorrow in my husband's place. What does that supposed to mean, wizard? Nani? As Natsuhi-san says, she slumped down into one of the sofas and took a deep breath. As well as checking the doors and windows, she had also been trying to find grandfather. Since grandfather was not with her, apparently this whereabouts were still unknown.
屋敷内の戸締まりは厳重に確認してきました。
I carefully checked all the doors and windows throughout the mansion.
ですが、万が一ということもあります。
Fine, have it your way, wizard. However, we must be prepared for
み
anything.
んな、なるべくここに一緒にいた方がいいでしょう。
Everyone, I think it would be best if we all remained here.
そうね。
I agree.
ここに全員が集まって相互監視をしている方が安心だわ。
If everyone is gathered here, then we can feel more secure by keeping an eye on each other.
それはどういう意味ですか、エヴァさん。
What do you mean by that, Eva-san?
別に。
Nothing, really.
夏日姉さんの意見に賛成しただけよ。
I'm just agreeing with your opinions, aren't I? There was a dangerous atmosphere between the two of them. If you thought about who stood to gain the most of the inheritance problem standpoint, Aunt Eva was obviously the answer. However, there was no proof that Aunt Natsuhi was innocent. No, if you view Beatrice's letter as grandfather's elaborate prank, and think of this incident as just an extension to that, there was more than enough evidence to doubt even grandfather. Aunt Natsuhi thought that the criminal was on the outside, but Aunt Eva thought the criminal was on the inside. In short, it was quite the question whether or not a 19th person exists. It was a doubt that we had been repeating endlessly since last night's dinner with the letter of the witch who called herself Beatrice. So was the culprit among us or not? And did the witch Beatrice exist or not? If you assume that something as stupid as a witch couldn't exist, it was the same as saying one of the relatives here who shared a common bloodline was also the culprit. If you didn't like it, it would be much more comfortable to simply accept the fairy tale about the witch. Did a witch do it? Draw that weird magic circle and sacrifice those people? If I could only accept that rubbish, I would be able to completely trust everyone in this room. However, damn common sense got in the way. It kept on repeating that witches don't exist. In that case, the culprit was among us. Oh no, someone sus. In the middle of the seemingly endless rain, none of us could break our silence. Yes, get all those memes out of the way. Lunch had ended and the servants had removed the tableware and were now in the kitchen. Sorry, I sneezed. The wind and the rain had neither weakened nor strengthened, and the island remained cut off from the outside world. It seemed that at first naturally he had planned out not to let anyone man. I'm sneezing all day today. It seems at first Nancy had planned not to let anyone set one foot outside the room. But when it came time to prepare lunch, she finally realized that this was impossible. However, in order to avoid having anyone alone in the kitchen, she told the 3 servants to go together. Because of that, the servants were the first ones given the right to leave the stuffy parlor, which had been packed with 11 people. Since breakfast had immediately followed that terrible incident, and many of them hadn't eaten much, everyone tore into their lunches in silence.
私が洗いますから、源氏さんとカノン君は少し休んでいてくださいな。
I will wash the dishes so you can rest a while, Genji and Kanon-kun.
何か飲みます？
You want something to drink? Yeah, I hate allergies so much. Nothing for me.
カノンは
Kanon?
僕も結構です。
The best soda. Nothing for me either. I still wish they made like figurines of Umineko. Umineko is like such an old franchise that the only way they could get like a resurgence is if it like rebooted the anime or something. So I would really want like some really high quality Nendroids, you know.
お二人とも早朝から大変だったでしょう。
The problem with that Umineko is just so niche. And only Higurashi was allowed to get like a reboot. Man. They need some Fujos to bring this series back. Oh yeah, absolutely. This series used to be big, but that was like the early 2000s. You two must have been so busy and so early in the morning.
参ってしまうのも仕方ないことですよ。
It's no wonder you're worn out. The only sound was that of the Kumasawa washing the dishes, which resounded throughout the kitchen. Genji and Kanon sat on some chairs, and a short distance away, their eyes are lightly closed. Just as Kumasawa-san said, those two had probably built up a great deal of fatigue. But that didn't mean that they couldn't let it show in front of the relatives. Avoiding that was their virtues. After the silence had continued for some time, Kanon opened his mouth and muttered, Shannon.
どうしてあんなひどい死に方。
Why did you have to die in such a horrible way?
死に方のことは忘れなさい。
Forget about how she died.
ただ運がなかっただけだ。
It was nothing more than bad luck.
そうですね。
You're right.
ただ運がなかっただけです。
It was nothing more than bad luck. They both fell silent once again. Kanon's expression was filled with grief.
シャノンちゃんが死んじゃったなんて、
To think that Shannon-chan's actually dead.
未だに信じられませんよ。
I still can't believe it.
本当にかわいそうに。
Poor, poor Shannon-chan.
もう会えないなんて嘘みたいですよ。
Not being able to meet her again feels like a lie.
もう一度あの子の笑顔が見たかったのに。
I just want to see the girl's smiling face one more time. Kumasawa-san spoke with her back facing them. Kumasawa hadn't seen Shannon's corpse. She had no trouble mentioning Shannon's face. When Kana heard those words, it reminded him again of how only half of Shannon's face had been left, and his grieving expression twisted even further.
どうしてベアトリーチェ様はシャノンを
Why did Beatrice-sama do that to Shannon?
生贄が欲しかったなら他にも大勢いただろうに
If she wanted a sacrifice, there were plenty of others to choose from.
どうして
Why? Why?
ただ運が悪かっただけだ。
It was nothing more than bad luck.
少しの運がたがえばシャノンの代わりにあそこに横たわっていたのは私だったのかもしれないしお前だったのかもしれない。
If chance had fallen even slightly differently, it could have been me or you lying out there.
あるいは他の誰かだったのかもしれない。
Or even someone else.
すべては運命だ。
Everything is left to fate.
源氏様
Genji-sama.
奥様の部屋の扉に血のような跡がついていたとおっしゃって
Oh
いましたね
no! Seto came to bully my mods once again. Hello, Seto. Seto, what about you? Are you a femboy? Are you projecting your own femboyness onto my mods? Genji-sama, you said that the door to Madame's room was stained with traces of something like blood, right?
シャッターに書かれていたのと同じもので
No, I'm a macho man that can be... Ooh. A macho man, huh? We'll see about that. Send pics or it didn't happen. The same substance that was painted on the shutter. Yes.
君の悪い跡だった。
It was an unpleasant mark.
まるで血のついた指でドアノブを引き抜こうとするかのような。
Almost as though someone with blood-stained fingers had been trying to pull out the doorknob.
いや、扉をかき破ろうとしたのか。
No, scratched through the door.
そんな君の悪い跡だった。
That sort of unpleasant mark.
ベアトリーチェ様が奥様の部屋を訪れて
So does that mean that Beatrice-sama came to visit Madame's room?
そして扉を開こうとしたけれど開けなかった
And tried to open the door but couldn't?
ということでしょうか
Is that what this means? Genji thought back to the time he had seen those traces of blood on the door in Natsuhi's room, with the substance sticking to the door and around the doorknob, and marks of something scratching against the door. It had definitely appeared as though someone had tried to open the door but couldn't.
どうして奥様は生贄を免れたんだ
Why was Madame not chosen as a sacrifice?
もし奥様が選ばれてたなら
If only she had been
シャノンは
If only she had been
死ななくて済ん
chosen,
だのに
Shadow wouldn't have to die. But then a loud, sharp noise resounded from the hall. Both of them turned around, surprised.
面白そうな話じゃねえか。
Oh shit, caught in 4K. What the fuck? You guys are fucked now. Talking about we'd rather having someone else die instead of your stepsister. Oh my god, what would the master think? Oh shit, he wants to join in too. It's like, yeah, you know what? These bitches deserve to die too. Battler was standing in the doorway to the kitchen.
バトル様
Battler-sama, oh my god.
これは失礼いたしました
Please excuse me. Genshi-san Kano stood up surprised and hastily bowed. But I didn't care about stuff like that. I was more concerned with the continuing their discussion.
免除って言って抜けさせてもらったのさ。
I told them I was going to the bathroom, so they let me go.
ずっとあの部屋に閉じ込められてると窒息しちまいそうだったからな。
Thought I'd suffocate if I was locked up in a room any longer.
水でも飲ませてもらおうかと思ったら面白そうな話が聞こえてきたんでよ。
And I was about to come ask you for some water. I overheard something pretty interesting.
頭なんか下げなくていいぜ。
You didn't need to bow your heads or anything.
今の話の続きを聞かせてくれよ。
Please let me hear the rest.
今のは別に。
That just now wasn't really.
ちょいと前から話は聞かせてもらってるんだ。
I've been listening to you for a while.
今さら隠すなよ。
Don't try to hide it now.
だから
So I'll ask
単刀
directly.
直入に聞くさ。ベアトリーチェってのは何者だ？
Who is this Beatrice?
どうやらおとぎ話の魔女ってだけじゃなさそうだな。
She's supposed to be a witch from my kid's story, but it doesn't look like that way now. Canon averted his gaze. It was obvious that he didn't want to talk about this, which only made me want to ask even more. While making an effort to smile, I grabbed the collar of his shirt.
夕べまでなら俺は無関係さ。
If it were last night, this be none of my business.
だがな、今朝からは違う。
But after this morning, everything's changed.
親父たちを殺された時点で、俺は立派な関係者だ。
Now that Dad and the rest have been killed, this is totally my business.
俺にもそのうさんくさそうな話を聞かせてもらう資格があるはずだぜ。
I have the right to listen to this suspicious story, don't I? I glared at Kanon's eye and still have to continue to look away in apparent pain. Since there was a big difference in our heights, Kanon had to stand on his toes, and it looked like it hurt a bit. Good size difference.
バトラさん、
Batra-san,
手を離してやってくださいな。
please let go of the shoulder.
別にカノンさんは隠しているわけではないのです。
It's not like Kanon-san is really hiding anything.
じゃあ話してくれたっていいじゃねえか。
That you won't have any problem talking about it, right?
仲間外れたら寂しいぜ。
It's only being out of the loop, get it? When I tried to further twist up his collar, Genji-san cut between us and spoke. There was a slight sense of resignation on his face. It looked like he didn't plan on hiding anything.
お話しすることはできます。
I can talk about it.
ただバトラ様がお気を悪くなされるかもしれませんので、カノンは躊躇しているのです。
Kana only hesitated because you might have taken it badly, Butler-sama.
躊躇なんて男らしくねえぜ。
Hesitating isn't very manly, is it?
内緒にされる方が気持ち悪いさ。
Keeping it a secret's even more unpleasant.
聞かせてくれよ。
Tell me about it.
どうせ明日までできることはないんだ。
It's not like I have anything better to do before tomorrow comes.
多少はうさんくさい話の方が退屈も紛れるってもんだぜ。
A slightly shady story might be the best way to stave off boredom. After Genji-san and Kanon-kun looked at each other, they nodded as though they had decided to talk.
わかりました。
Understood.
何でもお聞きください。
Please, ask us anything.
お話しします。
We will talk.
あ
Right.
あ、じゃあ聞くぜ。
And I'll ask,
ベアトリーチェってのは一体何なの？
who in the world is Beatrice?
俺が知ってる限りでは、ロケン島の森に住まう魔女ってことになってる。
All I know is that she's a witch who lives in the forest of Rokenjima.
森に入ると危ないからってんで。
I've heard that it's a story that grandmother someone invented to keep people out of this dangerous forest.
違うのか？
Is that wrong?
いえ、違いません。
No, it isn't wrong.
その通りです。
It's as you say.
ベアトリーチェ様はロッケン島の森に住まわれる魔女であらせられます。
Okay, see you later, Neo. You can always catch the VOD. Later, bye-bye. Thank you for a hip hat. I'm glad that the alert actually worked. Thank you. I realize that my hat is kind of blocking the text a bit. Let me shrink myself a bit more. There you go.
バトラ様、
Bate-sama.
にわかには信じられないでしょう
Why do witches need to have such big hats, you know? Bate-sama, I don't expect you to believe this all of a sudden, but
が、ベアトリーチェ様は存在するのです。
Beatrice-sama, it does exist.
親方様に莫大な黄金を授け、
She is a real
長いこ
person.
とおそばにお仕えした実在する方なのです。
The one that gave the master a vast amount of gold, and who has worked by his side for many years. Basically, is tier 3 sub. E-girl.
は
Huh?
あよせやいよせやい。
Hi, come on.
じい様の受け売りを言うのも給料のうちだってのか？
Is grandfather paying you to repeat everything he says? I laughed like it was a joke. But neither Genji-san nor Kanon-kun laughed. Not even Kumasawa-ba-chan, who avoided my eyes flustered and started washing the utensils. So, unfortunately, I was the only one laughing. Painfully, bitterly.
なるほど。源氏さんが断るだけはあるぜ。
I see now why you warned me, Genji-san.
こいつは確かに正気じゃ気を悪くする。
Anyone saying would take this badly.
つまりベアトリーチェっていう名の人物は実在するんだな。
So you're saying that a person named Beatrice actually exists?
はい、
Yeah.
親方様がこの島にお屋敷を構える以前からずっとお仕えしている方でございます。
Yeah, she has been working for the master since before the mansion was built on this island.
おそらく私よりも長くお仕えしているでしょ
Most likely, she's been working for him even longer than I have.
なんてこった。桐江さんの仮説は外れたな。
What do you know? Kira-san's theory was off.
じい様にベアトリーチェという名の腹心は実在したってわけだ。
Grandfather really did have a confidant called Beatrice.
そいつは今この島にいるんだな。
And she's on the island now.
はい、
Yes.
いらっしゃっていると思います。
I believe that she is here.
曖昧な言い方だな。
That's a vague way to say it.
ってことは昨日今日そいつの顔を見たってわけじゃなさそうだな。
I guess that means you haven't seen her face today or yesterday.
はい、
Yeah.
大変申し上げがたいのですが。
It is difficult to say, but Kana-kun once again dropped his gaze, avoiding my eyes.
なんだよそこで切るなよ。
Come on, don't just stop there.
鮮度目みたいで気持ち悪いぜ。
That's like freezing an inch before the blow. I urged him on jokingly. However, it looked like Kana was still unsure as to whether he should speak or not. Then Kumasawa-ba-chan whispered. She whispered, "Wizard, you are a sussy bussy baka!" And then left the room. That was good timing.
お顔を見ようにもベアトリーチェ様にはお姿がありませんから。
You cannot see her face because Beatrice has no form.
お姿がなんだって？
She has no... What?
ベアトリーチェ様にはお体がありません。
Beatrice has no body.
ですからベアトリーチェ様がお望みにならない限り私ども凡庸ではお姿を見ることすら叶いません。
Thankfully, we're learning more about Beatrice, but we have still yet to actually see her. Beatrice has no body. Therefore, unless Beatrice-sama wishes it, common people like us are not able to see her form.
ベアトリーチェ様が人の姿をされていた頃の絵があの肖像画のものなのだとか。
I have heard that the portrait shows that Beatrice-sama looked like back when she had a human form.
そのお姿を懐かしみ、よく肖像画の前に佇まれているそうな。
And here she often lingers in front of the portrait, yearning for her old form.
ベアトリーチェ様は時折輝く蝶の姿に身を変えられて現れることがあります。
Beatrice-sama sometimes changes her form into glittering butterflies and shows herself.
万一お屋敷の中でお見かけした場合には決してその後を追ってはならない決まりです。
On the rare occasion that you spot them somewhere in a mansion, there is a rule that you absolutely mustn't chase after them.
追えば不幸があると囁かれています。
It is whispered that you will meet a disaster if you follow them.
その禁を破り大怪我をして辞めた使用人も実際にいます。
In fact, there was a servant who broke that rule and quit because of a great injury.
おいおい、マジかよ。
Wait a second, are you kidding me?
あんたら本気でそんな話をしているのかよ。
Are you all serious about this?
バトラ様、すでにベアトリーチェ様がお越しになっておられます。
Butler-sama. Beatrice-sama has already arrived.
そのようなお言葉はよろしくないかと思われます。
Such language may be unwise.
ベアトリーチェ様はご自身を冒涜される方を好みません。
Beatrice-sama is not fond of those who profane her.
その存在を疑えば必ずや不幸が降りかかるでしょう。
If you doubt her existence, you will surely meet the disaster.
バトラさん、気持ちの悪いお話とお思いでしょ。
Butler-sama, you probably find this story unpleasant. Also, hello, Agile. Welcome.
ですがね、
But you know what?
ベアトリーチェ様はいるんですよ。
Beatrice does exist, okay?
います。
She exists.
それを疑われることをベアトリーチェ様はことのほか嫌われます。
Beatrice has an exceptional dislike for that being called in question.
わかりませんか。
Don't you understand, Butler-sama?
ベアトリーチェ様は今すでに
Beatrice-sama has
こ
already
こにお
arrived
越しに
here.
なっております。
おいおい、よせよ。
Come on, quit it. I don't believe in these thoughts, man.
俺そういうのは弱いんだぜ。
I'm weak against that stuff, you know.
脅しっこなしにしろい。
You're freaking me out. However, there was no trace of a joke in the eyes of the three servants. On the surface, I laughed and tried to look unconcerned, but I was quickly starting to sober up. Their eyes were also sobering up fast.
バトラさん、お願いですから、ベアトリーチェ様を冒涜することはおやめください。
Please, you don't want to feel the wrath of an e-thought. Her sins are merciless. Butler-sama, I beg you that you stop profaning Beatrice-sama.
悪いことは申し上げません。
Please trust me. Kumasawa-bachan, who was usually cheerful and would always tease people, now spoke with a totally straight face, and I have never known her to make.
いや、
Well,
いるって言われてもよ。
sure, you say she
俺
exists,
には何も見えないぜ。
but I don't see anything.
今、俺の隣にいるとでも言うのかよ。
Are you trying to say that she's standing right next to me or something?
冗談よせや。
Quit joking around, man. I don't believe in these thoughts. Oh no, spooky lolly. Just then, that unnerving laugh suddenly filled the kitchen. When I turned around, Maddie was standing there by the entrance. But her expression and the feeling about her presence felt exactly the same as the servants.
波長の合う合わないは生まれつきだよ。
Whether your wavelength matches or not is determined at birth.
バトラは生まれつき波長が合わないタイプなんだよ。
Battler, you were born with a mismatched wavelength.
だから見えない。
That's why you can't see her.
会えない。
Can't meet with her.
話せない。
Can't talk to her.
ベアトリーチェの一番嫌いなタイプだよ。
You're the type Beatrice hates the most. Maria's laugh sounded like she was greatly enjoying herself, yet it was extremely eerie. It was almost like she was laughing at me because I alone didn't understand.
ベアトリーチェのことが知りたい？
Do you want to know about Beatrice?
ベアトリーチェはね、1000年の魔女なんだよ。
Beatrice is a 1,000-year-old witch.
あらゆる悪魔を刺激し、錬金術を極め、賢者の石を生み出し、莫大な黄金を生み出すことができる。
She has all of the demons at her command and can harness the power of alchemy to create the Philosopher's Stone and a vast quantity of gold.
おじい様は彼女と契約することで、後ろ宮家に莫大な富を築いたんだよ。
Grandfather built up all the vast wealth with the Yoshida-Miya family by making a contract with her.
昨日私がベアトリーチェの手紙を読んだでしょ。
Yesterday I read Beatrice's letter, didn't I?
あれは本当なんだよ。
That was real.
バトラに信じろと言っても無理な話だろうけど。
Well, I guess it's pointless for me to try and force you to believe.
六感が生まれつきさっぱりみたいだからね。
After all, it looks like you were born without a trace of the sixth sense.
なんだよそれ。
He is not gifted like Haley Joel Osment was in that one movie. What are you talking about?
魔女？悪魔？
Witches? Demons? What is this, goosebumps?
そんなの誰に聞いたんだよ。
Who told you that? You're like 7.
ベアトリーチェ本人に聞いたんだよ。
I've heard of him, Beatrice herself. Maria kept doing that unpleasant laugh. However, the servants who watched over this didn't even blink. She heard it from the witch in that portrait adorning the entrance hall. Maria kept on laughing in a weird voice, as though this was nothing more or less than the truth.
マリア、聞くだけ野暮だろうが、もう一回聞くぜ。
Maria, it might be rude to ask, but I'll ask you one more time, okay?
昨日、マリアにあの手紙を渡したのは誰だ？
Witches and the audacity of this bitch. But who gave you that letter yesterday?
ベアトリーチェにもらったって何度言えばわかるかな。
I got it from Beatrice. How many times must I tell you before you understand?
わかんないよね。
You don't get it, do you?
見えないんだもんね。
You can't see her. I know.
信じられないもんね。
You can't believe it. I know. Just then, Maria's laughter suddenly stopped.
バトラ、
Battler,
まだわかんない。
you still can't tell
ベアトリーチェがいるのが。
that Beatrice exists.
いるって。どこにさ？
She exists, you say, but where?
だからベアトリーチェがここにいるのが。
Like I said, Beatrice exists right here. That's right. Now that I think about it, I've been feeling for some time now that the others haven't been looking in quite the right direction. I figured that everyone has just been gazing to the distance, but that wasn't the case. The four here, Genji-san, Kanon-kun, Kumasawa-san, and Maria, everyone except me, was looking at the spot right behind me. Holding my breath tightly, I slowly looked over my shoulder. Of course, there wasn't anyone there. I've known that the whole time. However, everyone in the room except me was focusing on that point as if there was someone there.
ベアトリーチェは1000年を生きた偉大な黄金の魔女。
Beatrice is a witch of gold who has lived for 1,000 years.
でも波長の合う人間にしか自分の姿を見せられないし、話しかけられない。
But she can't see her form to humans of the wrong wavelength, and she can't talk to them.
だからね。
And you know what?
それがとても悲しいんだよ。
She finds that really sad.
だからバトラみたいな生まれつき魔法のセンスもかけらのない人に存在を否定されるのがものすごく嫌いなんだよ。
And that's why she truly despises it. When people like you, who were born without a fragment of magic sensitivity, deny that she exists,
バトラは幸運だよ。
you're lucky, Battler.
昨日私にお守りをもらっていてよかったね。
Good thing I gave you that charm yesterday, right?
それを身につけていなかったら今頃ベアトリーチェのどんな呪いが身に及んでいたか分かったものじゃない。
Who knows what kind of curse Beatrice would have had put on you by now if you hadn't been carrying it around.
本当に幸運なんだよバトラは。
You really are lucky, Battler.
ああ、あのサソリのキーホルダーかよ。
Right. That scorpion key holder.
あれって安っぽい景品か何かだと思ってたんだが、ちとはご利益あったってことなのか?
I thought that was just some cheap gift or something, but I guess it really had some benefit then.
それがなかったら今頃バトラがあの倉庫の中で顔面を砕かれて生贄にされていたんだよ。
If it weren't for that, you'd be lying in a storehouse as a sacrifice with your face crushed by now.
幸運だったよバトラは。
You're so lucky, Battler. You should win an iPhone.
そうか。
I see.
あれがなかったら、俺は今頃殺されてたってのか。
So if it weren't for that, I had been killed by now.
なんでバトラはベアトリーチェを信じないの？
Battler, why don't you believe in Beatrice?
いるのに。
Even though she exists.
今そこにほら。
Even though she exists right now. Over there. Look.
ね、信じる気になったでしょ？
Hey, I'll bet you want to believe it now.
信じなよ。
Believe it.
マリアにお守りをもらったことを感謝しながら。
And thank me for giving you that charm.
あれがなければバトラは今頃倉庫の中。
If it weren't for that, you'd be in the storehouse by now.
代わりに誰か一人が助かっていたかもしれないね。
But then, maybe you would have saved someone else in exchange, right? Boy, she's really putting salt in the wound. Puh. Right then, I burst into laughter because I'm a protagonist and a skeptic. Playing witches have been pretty fun up until a second ago, but unfortunately that last one didn't quite hit the mark. Ha! I'm not afraid of e-thoughts, they should be afraid of me.
じゃあ全然ダメだぜマリア。
Because I am a Chad Sigma male. That's no goddamn good at all, isn't it, Maria?
ってことなら悪いが、ああ全然ダメだ。
If that's true, then I'm sorry, but it's no goddamn good at all. Spit at the fucking Eve girl, you thought witches. Peh, patooey. When Maria saw me suddenly start laughing, she stopped. Even though she didn't understand what I was laughing at, she realized it wouldn't be pleasant for her. Well?
お前が傷つくだろうと思ったから、俺黙ってたけどよ。
I thought it might hurt you, so I didn't say it earlier, but...
お前にもらったお守りよ。俺、ポケットに入れたつもりだったんだけどよ。
Although, I thought I put that charm you gave me in my pocket.
どっかに落っことしちまったんだぜ。
I must have dropped it somewhere, you see?
だから俺が今この瞬間に無事なのは、お守りのおかげでもねえし。
Huh,
な
shit.
ら魔女様の呪いがあって当然なのに、今この瞬間もピンピンしてる。
That means the charm can't be the reason I'm alive now, even though I should have been crushed by the witch. I'm perfectly fine. Checkmate, bitches.
悪いが、俺は自分の目で見たものしか信じね
Sorry, but I don't believe in things I don't see with my own eyes.
え。第六感
Sixth sense,
波長
wavelengths,
魔法のセンス
magic sensitivity, what is this? Ghostbusters?
悪いが俺はそういう前つばなもんは一切信じねえぜ。
Sorry, but I don't believe in fake stuff like that.
クラスの女が霊感がいいの悪いのって言い出すのを聞いてると虫唾が走るのさ。
When you hear the girls in class start talking about how good or bad their ability to sense the supernatural is, it pisses me off.
あんたらがいくらじい様に給料をもらってるか知らねえが、 俺を妙な宗教に勧誘しようったって。
I don't know how much grandfather is paying you, but if you're trying to talk me to joining some cult,
そう簡単にはいかねえってことをよく肝に銘じておきやがれってんだ。
believe me, you won't be able to do it that easily.
バトラ様。
Bather-sama, what the fuck, man? Bruh, can't just say that. But I can, and I will.
カノン君たちが信じる
He does realize that he's talking to a literal child. A little child is obsessed with the supernatural. You guys are free to believe whatever you want.
だが俺が信じるかどうかは常に俺が自分で決める。
But when it comes to whatever I believe or not, that is always for me to decide.
マリーがこの目で見るまでベアトリーチェなんてうさんくさいものの存在を信じるわけにはいかないぜ。
Sorry, but I can't believe in something as shady as Beatrice until I've seen it with my own eyes. I spoke forcefully and sharply. When I did, Maria started cackling again.
ならそれでいいんじゃない？
Well, that's just fine, isn't it?
いずれお前のような波長が全然合わない人の目にもベアトリーチェは見えるようになる。
Eventually, even when people like you totally mismatch wavelengths will be able to see Beatrice.
もうじき蘇るんだよ。
Very soon, she will revive.
ベアトリーチェはね。
Beatrice will revive.
そうしたら一緒にいっぱいお話をしたり遊んだりしようって約束してるんだよ。
Once that happens, she's promised to talk with me and play with me a lot. Me! Cause I am her tier 3 sub now.
疑う必要も無理に信じる必要も全くない。
There's neither a need to doubt nor to force yourself to believe.
現れるんだよ。もうじきね。
She will appear very soon. Guys, do you believe in e-thoughts? Be honest. Do you think they're real? Are they out there? Are they stealing your children? He should have slapped the shit out of her. That'd be realistically. If this were a Mexican family, you would have gone the chancla on her by now. Some people usually head to the bathroom after a meal. Others prefer to take a short nap. I would take the nap. It seems that several people had gone out the parlor just like I did when I went to the kitchen and drank some water. At the end, Nancy's order to keep everyone packed together in the parlor was reluctantly withdrawn and under conditions that no one was able to be on their own. And no one was going to go far from the parlor. After that, if 11 people are shut up in the same room, started early in the morning, the air will start to stagnate. And now that a little time has passed, everyone has started to recover from the shock of the morning. Maybe their sense of danger has weakened over time too. However, it was certain fact that 6 people had been killed inside this mansion. So Noah was completely negligent. So when they went out the hallway for a breath of fresh air, trying to act tough, they would get scared of standing there isolated and would end up returning to the parlor. Like that fable. You know, the north wind and the sun? If you force someone to shut in, they'll resist, but if you tell them to do whatever they want, they'll come back obediently. People sure are hypocrites. When the servants finished cleaning up for their meal, they returned obediently at the parlor just as Aunt Natsuki had told them to, and sat on a sofa near the entrance, patiently waiting orders. Maria, almost as though she had suddenly finished playing witches, had returned to the pure Maria I had known well, saying, "Ooh-woo." What in the world was that back there? I hadn't felt even an atom of presence of the person called Beatrice supposedly standing behind me, invisible. However, it felt like Maria, I could catch a glimpse of a little of that presence.
確かに
You're right.
マリアちゃんは魔女とかの話になると人が変わるね。
When Maria starts talking about witches, she changes.
昨日 海岸でバトラ君も見たでしょ。
But Bata-kun, you also saw it down by the beach yesterday, right?
サソリのキーホルダーの時か。
You mean when she gave me that scorpion key holder? You would have assumed her talking clear sentence with big words to be normal. I know, right? It's almost as if Beatrice is possessing her just so she can talk right through her. Ooh.
いや、あんな機嫌を損ねるみたいな感じじゃなくてよ。
No, I don't mean like when her feelings were hurt.
まるでその二重人格みたいな感じで。
I'm talking about when she looked like she had, you know, a dual personality.
ああ、たまにそういうこともあるな。
Oh, that happens sometimes too.
さっきマリアが魔法陣の話を始めた時みたいなやつ、たまにあるぜ。
It's like when Maria started talking about the magic circle, not very often, but it happens.
気持ち悪いけどな。
It's freaky though. Apparently, according to Jessica, that hee laughing Maria shows up every now and then. This was just a bad timing, and furthermore, it was the first time I seen it, so it really shocked me.
あれってのは何なんだ？
So, what is that?
マリアは二重人格か何かなのか？
Does Maria have dual personality or something?
それとも本当に霊感が強かったりとかして、
Or are you
そういうの
saying
に
that?
憑依されたりとかしちまうのかよ。
Or are you saying that her spiritual sense really is that strong and she got possessed by stuff like that?
そういうのじゃないと思うよ。
No, I don't think it's that.
バトラ君にも経験ない？
Didn't you ever experience it?
小さい頃、自分以外の誰かになりたかったなんてこと。
A desire to be someone other than yourself when you were small? Right when humans were born, no one had any individuality. However, when they reach their growth period and their sense of self starts to be born, they start to gain a sense of individuality. They want to be different from other people. But of course, they will find out they're no different from others in their class. Since they are learning the same thing in school and forced into the same lifestyle, when they realize that, they start off by breaking the rules in what's called the rebellious age. Since everyone follows the rules, they want to show off their individuality by breaking them. Even those who call everyone by the babies and stir up trouble are just cute kids searching for themselves when you look at them this way. Well, I'm lecturing about all this like I'm smart, but I'm actually got it secondhand from George Aniki. I myself was one of those embarrassing guys who thought it was cool to act like a little bastard. Well, that was when I was at the age when you try standing out from the opposite sex.
成長期の根底には、子供から脱却したいというひよこが殻を破るのに似た衝動がある。
At the very foundation of the growing period, it is an impulse to catch from being a kid, much the same as a chick trying to crack the shell of an egg.
子供と大人の違いは何かわかるかい？
Do you know what the difference between a child and an adult is?
年齢？
Age?
それとも
Or
体
physique?
格？
違うよ。
No,
経験だよ。
it's experience.
大人が子供を見下すのは人生経験が少ないからだよ。
Adults look down on children because children have very little life experience.
子供が何を言っても鼻で笑ってしまうのは世間知らずのくせにと見下しているからだよ。
The reason they start to look down on children whenever they say anything is because children don't know anything about the world.
ああ、そういうのわかるぜ。
Yeah, I know what you mean.
子供の頃って妙に人生ってもう悟りきったようなことを口にして年長しゃぶりたくなるよな。
When you're a kid, you try to say things like you've got it all figured out and try to act like an
大
adult.
人は子供が何を言っても世の中甘くないとか社会に出ればわかるとか鼻で笑ってる。
No matter what kids say, adults will just snort at them because they're too naive and because they'd understand once they grew up or something.
まあ実際そうなんだけど、子供的にはそういうのって見下されてるみたいでムカつくんだよな。
Well, it's probably true, but to a kid, it's just annoying, like they're being looked down upon.
なるほどな。
I get it.
知識や経験の有無か。
I get it. It's about whether you have knowledge and
確か
experience.
に年齢だけ無駄に食ってても尊敬はされねえよな。
You're right. You don't earn respect just by becoming old and achieving anything.
となるとつまり子供から脱却したいという衝動を持つ時期にかつ他者とは違うという個性を持ちたくなる。
Therefore, what we have is a period where they have the impulse to escape from being a kid, and also they want to have individuality different from other people.
子供からの脱却がつまり知識や経験なのだとしたら、
If what separates kids and adults is knowledge and experience, then
なるほど。他人の持ち得ない知識を持つことが一つのアイデンティティになるわけか。
I get it. If they know something that no one else knows, that's one way to form an identity.
小学校の頃なんかさ、クラスの誰も知らないことを知っていたり、
When you're in like elementary school, if you knew stuff no one else
持
knew,
っていたり身につけていたりするとヒーローになれたよな。
had stuff no one else had, wore stuff no one else wore, you could have a bit of a hero for it.
バトラもそういう経験あるだろ？
I bet you did the same thing, Battler.
あるある。
Yeah, yeah.
何か一芸に秀でたいと思うお年頃って確かにあるな。
That was definitely an age when I was excited to excel in something.
なるほど。それが子供からの脱却、つまり成長期ってわけか。
I see that that was a period I was trying to separate myself from being a child, my growing period.
健全な意味での成長期はそうして没個性を脱却するために人が持たない知識やスキルを身につけることを促す。
If you look at it in a good way, the growing period, by forcing you to separate yourself from others, pushes you to gain skills and knowledge that no one else has.
これは社会学的にも面白いことだよ。
This is also an interesting from a sociological standpoint.
人が没個性を嫌うために人と違う技術を身につけようとする。
Why are we talking about this when there's a wild witch on the loose? Because people hate being like everyone else. They just try to learn skills that no other person don't know.
これにより社会は幅広い技術を獲得して立脚する。
This way, society can acquire the broad range of skills that needs to survive.
神々の高度なプログラミングに驚かされるね。
The quality of God's programming is truly surprising.
まあ個性がネガティブに働くこともあるぜ。
Well, individual personalities can also be a negative, right?
クラスみんなが真剣に勉強してるから俺だけはサボって目立とうとかよ。
Like saying everyone else in class is studying hard, so I'll slack off so I stick out. That was actually me. It was only recently that I finally been able to feel thankful towards a middle school teacher that had slapped me after school.
でもな誰も飛べない飛び箱を飛んでやりたいとか。
Well, I did have those desires to jump over the vaulting box that no one else could.
成績のいい連中を周回遅れにさせてやるぜってマラソンで全力疾走とか。
Or sprint as fast as I could to try to lap those guys with good grades when we did a marathon.
勉強はダメだったから少なくとも運動では見返してやるぜって根性はあった。
It was also my nature that if I could study well, then at least I could get back to them by exercising.
なるほど。ちゃんと成長期してるな俺。
I get it. I really went out all on my growing period.
男子ってやっぱり肉体的な方面に関心が向くよな。
I guess boys do tend to focus more on physical things.
でもよ、同じ時期に女子は精神的な面に向きやすいんだよ。
But you know, girls of the same age tend to focus more on emotional things.
バトラのクラスの女子にも占いとか霊感とかそんなこと言ってる女子連中のグループがあったりしただろ？
I bet there were groups of girls in your class that were really interested in like fortune telling or their spiritual senses.
あったあった。
Ah, yeah, there was.
人の星座とか血液型とか聞いてきて、ああやっぱりクスクス。
They'd always come over asking me for my sign and my blood type. Then they laugh and they're like, I thought so.
とか笑われると大いにムカついたもんだぜ。
It really got on my nerves.
どこのクラスに行っても女子は占いが好きだし、
No matter which class you go to, girls like fortune telling.
決まって霊感に強いだの弱いだの感受性がどうこう見えないものが見えちまうだのそういう手合いが必ずいたもんだぜ
There was also a group that went on the spiritual sense being strong or weak, or sensitivity, or seeing that can be seen.
占いも霊感も学校では教えないものだからね。
That's because fortune telling and spiritual senses are things that aren't taught in schools.
男の子と違い、内向的な世界に関心を持ちやすい女の子にとって、
To girls who, unlike guys, are more introverted.
それはアイデンティティを確立しやすくて、かつ興味深いジャンルなんだよ。
It's a genre which is easy to build an identity upon, and one of that find very interesting.
男子が成長期に入ると急に悪ぶったりして大人に反抗を始めるのと全く同じに
Just like when boys enter their growing periods and start acting tough and rebelling against adults.
女子も成長期に入るとそういうのに興味が出るようになるんだよ
When girls entered their growing periods, they started being interested in kind of things instead.
私はそうでもなかったけどさ
Well, not me though.
つまりマリアがオカルトに関心を持つのは年頃の女の子としてはそう珍しくもないってことか
I don't know, I mean Mario's kind of like a bit more intense than a 10-year-old should be, if you ask me. So Maria having so much interest in the occult isn't that rare among girls her age. Ah yes, when I was 10, I too was studying about demonic circles and sacrifices. Very normal thing for 10-year-olds to be fixated on. Even if you accept that, I wonder if it explains that creepy dual personality thing. Well, I think I can accept it vaguely.
さっきも言った通り、大人になるというのは知識や経験を持つことを言う。
As I said before, becoming an adult means gaining knowledge and experience.
だから、それを得るために子供たちはいろいろなことを学んで、子供を脱却しなければならないんだけど。
So kids must study various things so that they can gain knowledge and truly awaken.
子供の世界に今も昔もはびこっているある便利な妄想があるんだよ。
There is a specific kind of fantasy useful for this, which is and has always been prolific in the world of children.
わかるかい？
Do you know what that is?
漫画やアニメに多いだろ
You see it all the time in manga and anime, right?
ほらあれだよ
You know,
前世の記憶が蘇ってとか
like memories coming back to you from a former life,
偉大なるなんとかの魂が乗り移ってとか
or like channeling the soul of a great whatever.
ああ他にも遺伝子が覚醒したりとか
Ah, there's also sleeping genres awakening,
封印されていた能力やら記憶やらが戻ったりとか
or sealed powers or memories returning. There's a lot of versions.
どういうわけかあの時期はそういうのがやたらと流行るもんさ
For some reason, those kinds of things are really popular at that age.
どうしてだ
Why is that?
今挙げたキーワードはすべて子供の自分に知識や経験を直ちに付加できる幻想だからだよ。
All of those examples you're just mentioned add fantasies by which children can immediately add knowledge and experience to those childhood selves.
9歳の女の子も1000年を生きた魔女が私に憑依していると言い出せば
Even a 9-year-old girl simply has to say that she has a 1,000-year-old witch possessing her.
1009歳のアイデンティティが得られるわけだからね。
And she could gain a 1,009-year-old identity.
まあつまり勉強するのは面倒くさい
So what you're saying is that for people who think studying is
で
annoying,
も人とは違うスキルを持って周りに威張りたいちやほやされたいっていう連中にとっては便利な妄想なんだよな
but want to learn different skills from everyone else and brag about it and get attention from it is a convenient delusion. So you can brag about something without having to work hard or study. Haha, just like AI bros. I see. Isn't that a kid's greatest dreams?
あとは子供からの脱却願望には必ず自分の理想像の自己投影が行われ
Furthermore, their ideal self-image is always self-projected onto the desires to escape from being a kid.
その願望の姿が別人格として形成されることが少なくない。
And it's not rare for that desire for him to become established and an alternate personality.
バトラ君だって家と学校では 多少キャラクターが違うということがあるんじゃないかな。
Even you, Bethakun, I'm sure your character's a little different at home than at school,
多
right?
分家での自分の姿をクラスの友人たちに見せるのは恥ずかしいはずだよ。
It would probably be embarrassing if anyone in school saw you how you were at home.
学校の自分は自分のなりたい姿の投影で、家の自分は本来の姿だから。
And at school, you would try to project yourself as you want to be, but home is where you are your true self.
つまりキャラクターの使い分けというか。
So, in other words, I'm changing my character for different situations.
人格の多重化はごくごく当たり前だと言いたいわけか。
Are you trying to say that having multiple personality is actually really common?
オカルトが好きな女子はそれを憑依と言ったり覚醒と言ったりするぜ。
A girl who was a fan of the occult might say that she's being possessed or has an awakening.
正直ドン引きするくらいにキャラを変える子もいるよ。
Honestly, there are some kids who can change their personality so drastically it can change your whole opinion on them.
男子にもいるだろ。
Even some boys, right?
キレたとか言ってやたらめったら粗暴キャラに変身するやつが。
Guys who just blow their top and get violent over nothing.
あれ、本人はかっこいいと思ってるんだろうけど、見てて痛いよな。
I bet they think it's pretty cool, but it's painful to watch.
つまりおさらいするとだ。
So let's sum this all up.
マリアくらいの年頃の女の子がさっきみたいな不気味な二重人格のようなものを見せても、
Girls of about Amadia's age, even if they show a creepy second personality like she did a minute
それ
ago.
ほど珍しいものじゃないと言いたいのか。
You're saying that it's not such a rare thing. Yeah, little girls love being villains who think they're possessed by a 1,000-year-old witch. Yeah, that's a totally normal thing.
簡単にまとめるとそういうことだね。
If you bring it all together, simply that's what it means.
アイデンティティは自己を形成するための大切なもの。
Identity is an important thing used to build up one's sense of
そ
self.
れをバカにしたりすると、かえってその殻に閉じこもってしまうこともある。
If you make fun of that, it could actually cause children to go back into their shell.
だからほどほどに付き合ってあげるのが大切なんだよ。
So it's important to go along to some degree.
それを丸ごと受け入れてあげるのが親の包容力というものなんだけどね。
Although to accept it completely requires the tolerance of a parent.
兄貴、それで独身って信じられねえぜ。
Aniki, I can't believe you aren't married.
もう子供が中学くらいに上がってそうな貫禄さ。
You sound like you've already raised kid through middle school.
じゃあローザおばさんもあのマリアの二重人格についてはよく知っていたのかな。
Then I wonder if Auntie Rosa also knew much about Mania's dual personality.
知ってたぜ。
She knew.
ここだけの話、ローザおばさんはすっごく嫌がってた。
Just between us, Auntie Rosa couldn't freaking stand it.
気持ち悪いし、クラスでますます孤立を深めるだけだって。
She said it was creepy and that it was just making Mania more and more separate from the rest of the class.
だからマリアがオカルトの話を始めたり、魔女みたいな声で笑い出したりすると必ずビンタしてたぜ。
So anytime Maria started talking about the occult or laughing like a witch, she'd slap her.
だからマリアもローザおばさんがいる時にはそういう話をしないようになったみたいだけど。
And it looks like Maria stopped talking that way in front of her. Maybe it was just a little game from a girl facing her growing period. That thing that had happened back then. There was a girl trying to show that she was different and independent by holding interest in witches and the occult. And since she wanted to have another side to herself that wasn't infantile, she was switching between her and her normal personality and the personality of her ideal a witch. In the beginning, I found that very disturbing. But after Georgianiki's lecture, it felt like it was a path that everyone walked down one time or another. I haven't told anyone, but when I was in kindergarten, I joined up with a little gang of kids trying to form an Earth Defense Force, saying we'd help protect peace on Earth. My face turns red when I remember how, during what we called a battle practice, we would chant EDF, EDF. Just like usual, Maria was relaxing, immersed in TV, wooing and laughing just like any girl her age. Bonnie inside another personality of that ideal witch that had admired, blindly accepted was sleeping. But that wasn't anything extraordinary. It was perfectly natural for a girl her age. Or was it? I calmed down a little. I just started to recover from the shock of the bizarre experience in the kitchen. If I hadn't talked to Aniki and Jessica, I might have been frightened by the idea that an invisible witch was staring right behind me. However, I can really accept that explanation of what happened back there. If I had just been Maria, I could have explained it as a fickle fantasy of a growing girl. But Genji and Kano and Kumasawa Bachan had also been there. None of them had denied what Maria said. They were slightly accepted of Beatrice exists. I was starting to feel a little uneasy. Auntie Eva had claimed that no 19th person exists, saying that someone within the family had been committing the crime in the connections of their messy quarrel. On the other hand, Natsuki had claimed that the culprit was holding somewhere outside the mansion. That meant that she was denying that the crime had been committed by one of us and accepting that a 19th person exists. And in the kitchen, Maria and Serval had agreed that a 19th person exists, but according to them, this 19th person isn't human. They had said that it was an invisible witch plotting something mysterious. Is there a 19th person or not? And is culprit of a human or a witch? For some reason, I couldn't laugh off any of the possibilities, not even the most ridiculous one about the witch.
Jessica. ベアトリーチェの話ってのは、俺の認識では森に子供たちが迷い込まないようにってんで作った大人の脅し話だってことになってんだが。
All I know about the story of the witch is that it was a story made by the adults to keep the kids too scared to enter the forest, but
この屋敷じゃ違うのか?
Is it different here in the mansion?
私もバトラと同じ意見だぜ。
I'm with you on this.
こんなのは子供に言うことを聞かせるために親が作った間抜けな怪談だと思ってる。
I think it was a dumb ghost story made by the parents so their kids would listen to them.
でも、そうだと口にはできない空気が屋敷内にあることは否めないな。
But I can't deny that the atmosphere inside the mansion makes it a little hard to say it out loud.
おじい様がベアトリーチェは存在すると公言されているからね。
Because grandfather had proclaimed that Beatrice does exist.
使用人たちは立場上それを疑えないし。
And because of their positions, the servants can't doubt that.
クラウスおじさんたちもおじい様と喧嘩がしたいわけもないから、表向きは口を揃えてる。
Jessica's mother and father didn't want to get into a fight with him either, so on the surface they go along with it.
だから多分このお屋敷ではベアトリーチェの存在を疑うことはある種のタブーだと思うんだよ。
So you could probably say that inside this mansion, doubting the existence of Beatrice is kind of taboo.
年に一度しか来ない僕たちと違ってね。
Unlike the rest of us who only come here once a year.
そうでしょ。
Is that right? Jessica puffed out an air in admiration. It looked like Aniki had guessed right.
ジョージ兄さんの言う通りだぜ。
You've got it totally.
みんな腹の中じゃ信じてるわけじゃない。
No one really believes it on the inside.
でも、表向きはその存在を認めてる。
But on the outside, they accept she exists.
ほら、神様の存在を認めるような、そんな雰囲気だよ。
See, it's just like the same way people are about gods.
実際にはいないことを知ってても、それを口に出して否定したら野暮みたいな空気だな。
Even if you know there's actually no such thing, it feels kind of rude to actually say that out loud.
使用人たちの間ではどういうことになってんだ?
How do you think the servants feel about it amongst themselves?
やっぱり雇い主のじい様がいるって言ってんだから、それに口を合わせてるわけか?
Is it true that since grandfather who employs them, she say exists, they have to go along with it?
さあ。
Well.
詳しくはわからないけど、使用人たちの間ではベアトリーチェの話はある種の怪談扱いになってるよ。
I don't really know about the details, but between the servants, the story about Beatrice has been treated a bit like a ghost story.
ほら、昨日海岸でシャノンが話してくれたろ?
Remember yesterday when Shannon was talking to us down by the beach?
夜見回りをしている時、不気味な何かを見かけたとか、そういう話。
And about how she saw some unsettling things while doing the rounds in the mansion at night. She had said something like that, hasn't she? Back then, I didn't give it much thought, assuming she was just going along with the displeased Maria. But now that I think about it, she said that, and completely seriously. That's right. She definitely said it. She's definitely said the same kind of thing that Genji and the rest and all ununanimously declared back in the kitchen.
他にも鬼火や輝く蝶々が舞っているのを見たという使用人も。
In addition, some servants had also seen one of the wisps and glittering butterflies dancing
カ
around.
ノン君もそれらしいものを以前夜の見回りの時に見たことがあると言ってました。
Kana-kun also said he saw something like that when he went patrolling one night.
あと最近ではお屋敷の中で深夜に不思議な足音をよく聞くと使用人の間で話題です。
And recently the servants had been talking about strange footsteps inside the mansion near midnight.
私たちは肖像画の中のベアトリーチェ様が姿を消してお屋敷の中を散歩しているんだろうとささやき合ってるんですよ。
We had whispered together that the Beatrice-sama from the portrait sometimes walks around the mansion invisible.
ずいぶん前ですが私もそうかもしれない足音を夜の見回りの時に聞いたことがあります。
It happened a long time ago, but I have also heard those kinds of footsteps while patrolling at night. That's right. She definitely said that. Exactly the same thing I had been told just now.
でも怯えることはないんですよ。
But there's nothing to be afraid of, you know.
ベアトリーチェ様は親方様とは異なるもう一人のお屋敷の主です。
Beatrice-sama is another ruler of this mansion separate from the master.
だから変に怯えたりしないで敬意を持っていれば決して悪いことはしないのだそうです。
So she won't do anything bad as long as you respect her and don't act oddly afraid.
ただし敬意を持たないと恐ろしいんだったね。
However, she's fearsome if you don't respect her, right?
はい。
Yeah.
私が勤めを始める直前に階段を転がり落ちて腰に大怪我をして辞めた方は
I heard that someone who quit just before I began working after falling down the stairs and receiving a large injury to their back.
ベアトリーチェ様のことを悪く言っていたそうです。
Had been speaking badly of Beatrice-sama.
だから使用人たちはベアトリーチェ様のお怒りに触れたのだろうと噂し合ったそうです。
Because of that, there is a rumor between the servants that Beatrice-sama's ankers had been brought down upon this person.
敬わないとお怒りに触れて怪我をする。
If you don't respect her, her anger will be brought down upon you and you will be injured.
つまり使用人たちにとってベアトリーチェって存在は
So to the servants, Beatrice's existence
お稲荷さんにいたずらしたらお狐様のたたりがあるってくらいには信憑性があるわけだ。
It's just as credible as the story that if you pull pranks on Inari-san, you'll be cursed by the kitsune. Of course, even though everyone accepts that curses and don't exist in the modern era, people are still afraid and still have little respect for them. You see it that a lot even in residential areas, such as someone is building a house and they called a Shinto priest for a ceremony to honor the gods of that plot of land. You might think that's a big waste of time and money, but the workers say that a big accident will occur if you don't do it, so they apparently never neglect the procedure. You also hear that how if an Inari shrine is carelessly removed during a town replanting, then it'll be cursed by Kitsune-sama. I think I might have heard somewhere that the occupying forces were trying to expand an airport, had to remove an Inari-san that was in the way. All of the workers were suddenly taken out by some mysterious fever. Even in modern cities like Tokyo, It isn't rare to see modern buildings packed all around an old Inari shrine, leaving the shrine itself untouched. And this isn't limited to Japan. It's probably similar to how people baptize babies. If I remember correctly by the Christian doctrine, unbaptized souls, through their sins is the lightest, will still fulfill the conditions for going to hell. Putting water on a child's forehead doesn't do anything but make them cry. But if a parent can prevent their child from going to hell with just a little bit of effort, they will happily go through all that ceremony. In short, even in this modern society of reason, we are still unable to throw away even a trace of belief and fear. You could say that it's a passive acceptance of the supernatural. Maybe the only difference on the island was that Beatrice was a name that was respected here. So in other words,
この島でとても人間技とは思えない何かが起これば、それはベアトリーチェの仕業だとなるわけか。
So in other words, if anything happens that doesn't seem explainable in human terms, it's called the work of Beatrice.
シャノンちゃんも言ってた気がするな。
I think Shannon-chan was talking about it.
ちゃんと閉めたはずの窓や扉や鍵がもう一度見回りに来たら開いていたとか。
Had definitely been properly shut or locked, being opened the next time they were checked.
消したはずの明かりがついていたり、つけたはずの明かりが消えていたりとか。
Lights that had been off being on, and lights that had been on being off.
で、確かジェシカは朝出かけようとしたらカバンが見つからないのもベアトリーチェの仕業だってふざけてたんだよな。
And if I remember right, Jessica, you used to joke that it was Beatrice doing that you couldn't find your bag sometimes when you went to leave in the morning, right?
よく覚えてるな。
Good memory.
普通なら妖精さんが隠したとでも言うところが、この島ではベアトリーチェがになるってだけの話だぜ。
Normally you'd say a fairy took him, but on the island it's Beatrice.
ま、そんなくだらない話さ。
Man, what a stupid story.
このお屋敷も築30年くらいになるそうだからね。
This mansion has been standing for about 30 years by now, hasn't it?
それだけになれば多少の怪談やオカルトは生まれてくるものだよ。
It's natural for things that old to get their fair share of ghosts and occult stories.
学校の七不思議なんかのようにね。
Like the 7 mysteries at school.
そこで
So here.
チェス盤をひっくり返すぜ。
So here's where we flip over the chessboard. Huh?
つまり
Basically,
この島では人間にはできないことはベアトリーチェの仕業と置き換えることができるルールがあるってわけだ。
on this island, there's a rule that Beatrice can't be blamed for anything that couldn't have been done by humans.
人間にはできないこと。
Anything that humans can't do.
人間は何人だ？
How many humans are there?
18人だ。
There's 18.
つまり犯人はこの島のルールにのっとってこの事件は魔女の仕業だとアピールしていることになる。
In other words, the occult is modeling things after this rule, trying to make it appear that this crime was the work of the witch.
つまりそれは19人目の仕業ですよと訴えたくて仕方がないわけだ。
In short, they desperately want to claim this as doing of a 19th person.
気に入らねえぜ。
I don't like it.
全然気に入らない。
I really don't like it.
気に入らないって
Why?
何がだよ。
What don't you like?
仮に不可視の19人目が存在してそいつが自分の存在をアピールしたいなら
Just assume that an invisible 19th person exists, and this is the person wanting to make it known that it exists.
俺ならもっと完璧なタイミングでやるぜ。
If it were me, I'd do it with more perfect timing.
完璧なタイミングでってのはどういう意味だい？
What do you mean by perfect timing?
あ
Well,
あ、だって事件は深夜から未明にかけて起こったのは
after all, the crime took place after midnight, while it was still dark, right?
深夜まで話し合いをしてたり夜勤をしてたりあるいは部屋に帰って寝ていたり
People were talking together until midnight. Some people had the night shift, and some people had returned to their rooms and were sleeping.
どいつもこいつもアリバイがあやふやで十分内部犯行が疑える段階だ。
Everyone's alibi is really vague, and there's plenty of room to suspect that the crime was committed by one of us.
ジョージの兄貴もエヴァおばさんに聞かされてるんだろ？
George, Aniki, and Auntie Eva probably told you too, right?
内部犯行の可能性が高いって話。
That there's a good chance that one of us is the culprit. Yes.
まあね。
I guess.
つまり不可視の19人目が実在したなら、最初の事件は自分のアピールに失敗してるんだ。
In other words, if the 19th person really existed and wanted to show themselves, this perfect crime was a complete failure.
いや、そもそも時間帯がミステイクだ。
No, this is the first time the timing was a mistake.
不可視の19人目をアピールするためには、
If the visible 19th person really wanted to show
死んだ
themselves,
6人以外の12人が全員白であることが確定している状況下で行われなければならない。
they had to make sure that the crime took place under conditions which proved that the remaining 12 people were all innocent.
疑わしい人間がゼロにならなきゃ自分の存在をアピールできないんだよ。
Unless there are no suspicious humans that can't prove that they exist.
だから全員のアリバイが一番あやふやになる深夜の時間帯は、
So by killing them in the middle of the night, when everyone's alibis were at the most ambiguous,
19人目にとって自分が一番あやふやになる時間帯でもある。
whether or not the 19th person exists was also at the most ambiguous.
にもかかわらず、その時間を選んで犯行に及んだ。
Even so, they chose that time to commit the crime.
そんな時間に犯行を起こせば、18人の誰かが疑われるのは明白。
By committing the crime then, it's obvious that one of the 18 would be suspected.
にもかかわらず、マリアに手紙を渡して魔女を名乗り、誰もが自分でないと否定している。
Yet they took the name of the witch and handed Maria the letter, and everyone denies doing it.
つまりベアトリーチェという19人目がいるように見せかけたい人間が18人の中にいると、こう言いたいのかよ。
In other words, you're trying to say that one of the 18 is trying to make it look like a 19 person called Beatrice exists?
なんだかぶっ飛んだ発想だな。
That's pretty crazy.
まだおふくろの屋敷の外に不審者が潜んでいるって話の方が信憑性があるってもんだぜ。
I think my mom's theory that someone is hiding outside the mansion is a little more credible.
まさかバトラはこの客間の中に犯人がいると疑っているのかよ。
Butler, don't tell me you actually suspect that someone in the house is the culprit.
ああ、
Yeah.
何者かが俺たちにベアトリーチェが存在すると。
Someone is trying to force us to accept that Beatrice exists.
そうさ。昨べのあの手紙からもう事件は始まっていたんだ。
That's right, the letter last night is when the whole thing started.
証拠も根拠も何もねえけどな。
I don't have any biases or proof, but
チェス盤を逆さにした限りじゃ、俺の見立てはこんなところだ。
when the chessboard's upside down, this is my best guess.
飛びまくってるにも程があるぜ。
Seriously, that's too crazy.
妙な推理小説の読みすぎじゃねえのかよ。
Have you been reading too many weird detective novels?
でも、無視できない着眼点もあるね。
But it does hit on a point that we can't ignore.
19人目がいるかいないかは別にしても、
Whether there's a 19th person or
その
not,
犯人は確実にこの島のルールにのっとって何かを仕掛けてきている。
the culprit is definitely planning something based around that rule about this island.
僕はね、今バトラ君の話を聞いていて、少しだけ気持ち悪いことを思い出してたんだよ。
Just now listening to Butler-kun talk, I remember something that's a little disturbing.
気持ち悪いこと。
Something disturbing?
うん。
Yes.
覚えてるかい？
Do you remember?
ベアトリーチェの手紙。
Beatrice's letter.
ベアトリーチェは利子の回収を行うと言っていたね。
It said that Beatrice was going to collect interest.
そして利子とは後ろ宮家のすべてだと言った。
And as for what that interest is, it is said everything from the Shiromiya family. Jessica and I thought back on what Maria had read aloud the previous
言っ
night.
てたぜ。
It said that.
確かに言ってた。
It definitely said that.
そして利子の回収をこれから行うが、 黄金の謎を解いたらその権利を失うとも言ってたよな。
That the collecting of the interest would now take place, but if the riddle of the gold could be solved, she would lose that right.
おじい様は黄金を授かり、後ろ宮家を再興した。
Grandfather was granted the gold and Ishiramiya house proposed.
つまり黄金を資本に生み出したものすべてが利子だってベアトリーチェは言っている。
Basically, Beatrice is saying that everything he birthed from that gold counts as interest.
つまり
In other words,
冗談きついぜ兄貴。
that's a pretty scary for a joke, Aniki.
まさか後ろ宮家のすべて。
Don't tell me that everything of the Shiramiya family.
つまりじい様が生み出したものすべてってことは。
In other words, everything that grandfather gave birth to
じい様から血を分けた一族のことを指すってのかよ。
refers to everyone with grandfather's blood flowing through their veins.
あの手紙をそう読み解いたなら、
If you read the letter that way,
この殺人はベアトリーチェが行った正当な利子の回収ということになる。
these murders are just Beatrice legitimately collecting interest.
となればこの事件はまだ続くよ。
If that's the case, these crimes will continue.
利子の回収はまだ途中なんだからね。
Because the collection of interest is still only halfway completed. George turned around, looking over the parlor. There were still many people who held the name Yoshiramiya. And we knew that since Goda and Shannon-chan had been killed, not even the servants who didn't bear the name Yoshiramiya would be spared.
私たち全員を殺すつ
Are
も
we
りかよ。
all gonna be killed?
でもおかしいよジョージ兄さん。
But that's weird, George Nisan.
ならどうして6人だけ？
Why only 6 then?
他に大勢殺せたはず。
They could have killed a lot more.
下手をすれば寝込みを襲って全員を一晩で殺すことも可能だったはず。
In the worst case, it might even have been possible for them to assault all of us while we were sleeping and kill everyone in a single night.
どうしてそれをしなかったの？
Why didn't they do that?
特別条項だよ。
The special clause.
黄金の謎を暴く者が現れたら利子の権利は失われる。
If someone managed to solve the riddle of the gold, the right of the interest would be lost.
そして手紙の最後にはこう結ばれていたはずだよ。
I remember how the very last part of the letter included,
おじい様の黄金の謎をみんなで解いてみろとね。
it said for everyone to try and solve the riddle of grandfather's gold.
ジーザス。
Jesus!
ようやく犯人のメッセージが分かってきたじゃねえか。
Looks like we're finally getting close to understanding the culprit's message.
つまり犯人は俺たちにじい様のあの碑文の謎を解いてみやがれと言ってるわけだ。
In other words, the culprit is still trying to solve a riddle and epithet grandfather had made.
しかもぼやぼやしてればどんどん
Furthermore,
利子の回収を進めちまうつもりだ。
they're saying that if we just sit around, they'll keep collecting interest. I realized it was all based on several crazy guesses. But not everything that happened in the world is joined together in a perfect line. Don't worry, wizard, I'll fix it for you. There we go. Good. Made up for it. Most known phenomenons are nothing but individual points. But joining them together into lines, we deepen our understanding. Closer together the points at the end of those lines are, the more logical it is, and easier to understand. And the farther away they are, the more it lacks those qualities. That is why we use distance analogy and call such theories way out there. However, if you can only join up to a small, imitated distance away, we call it having a limited imagination. Is imagination different from reasoning? Was I trying to force everything that I knew about the case to fit my simple imagination? No, that's not it. You're searching around with your hands in the dark. That search is imagination. Only imagination can find the 2 points you should connect together. Reasoning is nothing more than the action of drawing the line between them. If you can't imagine, you can't reason. What was I doing might be out there, but it shouldn't be wrong either. Only the power of imagination can pull out a clue from the darkness. And the power of reasoning ties those clues together. It's a lot like the process of searching out an enemy's weak point and striking. It's alright if it's crazy. Find the weak point first. Then we can think about how to strike. Now was the time to find the points that we could tie it together later. Boy, it gets tiring having to read for 2 hours straight. For a time being, I set aside a 19th person exists, and announced the theory that the goal of the culprit might have been making us solve the riddle of the epitaph. Uncle Hideyoshi looked like he was really interested, but Natsuki thought it was ridiculous.
確かに
Of course.
そう考えるとあの怪しい手紙も納得がいくっていうもんや
Of course, if you think about it that way, even the letter from yesterday makes sense.
その動機はなかなかええ線をいっとると思うで
That motive seems to fit pretty well with the facts.
マリアちゃんに手紙を渡したのが誰かはさておきな
Setting aside whoever it was given that Maria the letter.
おベアトリーチェはいる
Beatrice exists!
お
Ugh. Even though she was puffing up her cheeks in that cute way she had been doing since yesterday, I couldn't think of it as cute. If I looked at it lightly, it might sound suddenly transform into that creepy laugh.
隠しオーブンなど存在しません
The hidden gold doesn't exist.
ですがその存在を盲信する犯人はお父様の黄金を目当てで
However, the idea that we have a culprit who foolishly believes otherwise wants father's gold.
それを私たちに解かせて横領を企んでいるという動機はなるほどと頷けるものがあります
And whose motive is it to make us solve the riddle and then steal the gold from us? Does indeed make some sense.
しかしならばなぜ後宮家の主要な人物ばかりを最初に殺したのです
However, in that case, why didn't it kill those most highly ranked in the Shiramiya family first?
道理ですな
Good point.
謎を解かせるなら金蔵さんに近しい人物を先に殺すことは得策ではないはずです
That's a good point. She did see the gold at one point in the story. A good point if they wanted to make us solve the riddle, killing those closest to Kinzo doesn't sound like a good plan to me.
そうね
I agree.
それにその論法で行くんだったら最初にお父様を脅迫した方が早くない
Besides, if we followed the argument, wouldn't it been much quicker if they had threatened father in the first place?
私たちに謎を解かせるよりも本人に答えを聞いた方が早いはずよ
You think it'd be faster to just ask the person who wrote it rather than to try to solve it herself, force us to solve it. That was a good point.
もっともお父さんが並大抵の脅迫で口を割るとは思えんが
Of course, I don't think that father would let it slip from any ordinary threat.
金蔵さんをよく知る方なら金蔵さんが並大抵の脅しには屈しないことをよく存じているでしょう
I'm probably gonna stop it here as I'm getting tired from having to read 2 hours straight. We are, of course, one step closer to seeing the Ethot Witch. Just one more step closer. Oh, yeah, that's a lot of reading. It takes a lot out of me. Thought of maybe if I could just, read a little more and drink some of that gamer supplements, maybe I could last another hour, but I would also have to eat soon, so it's best to just stop, I guess. Thank you, Wizard, and thank you everyone who came by, wanted to watch the stream. I will go rest, and then I will start stuffing food into my face for dinner. So yes, once again, thank you everyone for coming by. Be sure to look up my socials, my links and everything, all the stuff that you need to keep track of my art and all that junk. You just go to my card. Thank you for the coming to stream, Misery. Thank you for coming, as always. I'll have a good weekend, everyone. I hope you have a nice, safe October. So yeah. See you guys. Thank you. Most likely I'll be in Tooncat stream maybe tomorrow or Sunday. Until then, so long and farewell.